Yeah.
I have every year I file at least one, and some years several applications. Okay,
Mm.
I have made, and I have done, I have passed those interviews many times in the past. In the last 25 years, I have passed many of those because they ask about, the U.S. Constitution and, the Congress, or who's second, third, or fourth in line. And of course, I can teach classes on that. So,
All right.
But this is a breeze for him, and you should know this was not his first citizenship interview. And what's really the kicker about this is the timing. So I mentioned that 2008 pretextual removal order. That went before an immigration judge for over 10 years, who just meticulously combed through every piece of this case, looked at Zahed's integrity, looked at the ICE attorneys, the deputy attorney and the chief attorney, Sanchez and Love, who were both convicted of crimes against immigrants in their official capacity. One was doing forgery, the other was doing direct identity theft, was targeting high credit score immigrants for deportation, stealing their identities for personal financial gain. That happened.
Are they in jail now?
they were for a little while.
Briefly.
They were for briefly, both of them. So this is the two people who made a decision. Also, of course, from the agency pressure and Islamophobia, all of that, and then on top of that, their own personal. So this is the ICE Chief Counsel for Seattle ICE Chief Attorney Rafael Sanchez. He put me in deportation because he was stealing the identities of immigrants that he was deporting. And me being a super, squared away person and being ultra responsible with finances and paying all the bills on time. So I had an extremely unusually high credit score. So, so that's why he put me in. So then he went to jail because he stole the identities of so many immigrants, and even his water bill at his home was in the name of the immigrant who he has deported. His internet bill, his electricity bill was in their name, and then he opened credit cards in their names and got hundreds of thousands of dollars. I mean, back then, 25 years ago, he was getting paid what, $160,000, $170,000 as the Seattle chief ICE counsel. To me, that was a very good enough money for anybody who is reasonable to be able to live without stealing immigrants' identities that he was putting into the deportation. So this is Seattle ICE chief counsel Rafael Sanchez. He did that. And Jonathan Orwellian Love was his deputy chief, who also was doing forgery and putting documents into the immigration court that this immigrant and that immigrant has already years ago had already filed involuntary departure. But the thing is that he got caught because the form he is using only came into being in 2005 and newer Department of Homeland Security before it was INS, and he's signing the supposedly the immigrant signature, backdating it to 2001.
And I'm sure these people are not the only ones who do this.
Exactly. Thank you.
How many people have been deported so that their ID could be stolen?
Exactly, totally, solely by the very people who support who's supposed to uphold the U.S. Constitution.
Right,
And who are getting
obviously.
paid so well. ICE attorneys who are getting paid so well, to do their job, and they still have to steal hundreds of thousands of dollars from so many immigrants.
So
If you go ahead.
So in 2018, the immigration judge approved Zahed's permanent residence back to 2001. And all of these issues that they were trying to bring up and throw back at him for decades that were just pretexts to begin with, the judge gave him waivers for all of that, said, this should be an issue, period. But if they won't leave you alone about it, here, I'm saying officially this isn't a problem. Okay.
Right.
But in 2018, the government told Zahed verbally over the phone that they were not going to appeal that.
We
That
talked.
he was good.
We talked
And
several times.
if he'd been an LPR, a permanent resident green card holder, since 2001, it's only 5 years before you're eligible for citizenship. So he's ready to go.
If
right?
you are not married to a citizen, then it's 3 years, and if you are served military, it is immediately that day.
Also
So
true.
three things.
That's also true. And I should mention Zahed has only ever applied for citizenship based on his military service. He hasn't applied on any other basis, even though he's qualified in many other ways. But it's the most important one, and that's what he focuses on. That's what he earned through his own blood, sweat, and the fact that he's in a wheelchair now. If he wrote in the service. So the government told Zahed they weren't going to appeal. So he went in for a citizenship ceremony, not just the interview, but the actual oath-taking ceremony.
Right.
was told that day, oh, sorry, no, there's an appeal. That appeal was filed out of time, for one thing. It was filed 31 days. They only had a 30-day window to do it. The Board of Immigration Appeals picked it up, and they overturned that immigration judge's ruling, completely overturned. They didn't give it a partial. They didn't, send it back and say, hey, consider this aspect of the law or not that one. No, after he was in this for 10 years, gave a meticulous reasoning, and they just, bam, overturned it like that.
So the Seattle Immigration Court, the trial court, who knew this matter for over 11 years deeply, and two of their attorneys went to jail in that, and judge knew exactly what are the lies, and judge gave me waivers for all the excuses they were saying. This judge said, I gave him waiver for that. So that was a trial court, but it went to BIA after 30 days. After 30 days, it should not be accepted ever, but they accepted it, and the board is actually in the Washington D.C. area, and they changed the decision 180 degrees without any hearing, without any of the reasons why the immigration court made that decision for 11 years. Just like this.
Just out of the blue?
Exactly.
And
they shouldn't have accepted first thing things have to be received by them within 30 days. If they don't receive it, they should never honor it. But ICE's appeal was out of 30 days, and they never did a hearing. They never listened to all the reasons why 11 years in Seattle Immigration Court, judge gave me waivers for everything. And two of their attorneys went to jail. So none of that 180 degrees turned, because there were three judges, one for me, one for the ICE, one friend for ICE, and one was neutral, which eventually joined their other side. And 2-page decision or 3-page, and they rubber stamped. The opposite undid everything what the immigration judge did.